The diplomatic reception hall sparkled with lights that Ji-won had never seen before. Everything looked too clean, too perfect, too alien. He tugged at his formal uniform collar and wished he was back on Earth eating ramyeon in his apartment instead of standing aboard the biggest alien spaceship humanity had ever seen. Lieutenant Ji-won Park was 28 years old and had never expected to be chosen for first contact duty. He was a translator, not a hero. But when the Valtharian Empire made contact with Earth 6 months ago, they needed people who could learn fast and stay calm under pressure. Somehow, Ji-won's test scores got him assigned to this mission. Now, he stood in a room full of aliens, trying not to stare too obviously. The Valtharians looked almost human, which made it worse somehow. They were taller, with skin that had a faint blue tint and eyes that seemed to glow softly. They wore elaborate armor even to formal events, covered in decorations and symbols Ji-won couldn't read. "Stay close to the group," Commander Yuna Choi had warned them before entering. "Don't touch anything, don't make jokes, just smile and nod." Ji-won was doing his best. He smiled, he nodded. He accepted a drink that tasted like metal and flowers. His friend Minho stood nearby, looking equally uncomfortable in his dress uniform. The crowd suddenly shifted. Everyone was moving toward one side of the hall. Ji-won got pushed along with them, trying to keep his strange drink from spilling. Someone's elbow hit his ribs. He stumbled forward and crashed directly into someone. The drink flew from his hand. He grabbed the person's shoulders to stop himself from falling. They were wearing armor, smooth and warm under his fingers. He looked up into glowing eyes and realized with horror that he had just body-slammed someone important. Very important. She was beautiful in a way that made his brain stop working. Her armor was deep crimson with gold decorations. A crown of crystalline material floated above her head without touching her hair. Everyone around them had gone completely silent. "I am so sorry," Ji-won said quickly. His face felt hot. "I didn't mean to. Someone pushed and I—" She smiled at him. It was a small smile, amused rather than angry. That was good, right? Ji-won's mind raced for something to say, something diplomatic, something that would make this less awkward. Commander Yuna's voice echoed in his head, telling him not to make jokes, but his mouth was already moving. "Nice rear armor plating," he said, gesturing vaguely at the decorative pieces on her back. "Very shiny. Very armored." He wanted to die immediately. That was possibly the stupidest thing he had ever said. Minho's face in his peripheral vision looked like he was watching a disaster happen in slow motion. But the princess, because she was obviously a princess or something equally terrifying, laughed. It was a clear, genuine laugh. She turned to look at the armor pieces he had pointed at, then back at him. The translation device on his collar beeped. It beeped again. Then it made a sound like a computer dying. The princess's expression changed. Her eyes went wide. Around them, Valtharians started making sounds of surprise. Some looked shocked. Others looked delighted. Everyone was staring at Ji-won like he had just done something either very brave or very stupid. Possibly both. The princess reached out and took both of his hands in hers. Her grip was firm and warm. She was still smiling, but now there was something different in her eyes. Something intense. "You honor me with your directness, human Ji-won Park," she said. The translation came through clearly this time. "I accept your proposal. You will be my husband." Ji-won's brain broke. "I'm sorry, what?" he managed to say. "The bonding ceremony will occur in 30 days, as is tradition," she continued. "I am Princess Hana of House Valthar, and I am pleased to join my life with yours." The crowd erupted in cheers. Music started playing. Valtharians surged forward to congratulate them. Ji-won stood frozen, still holding hands with an alien princess, trying to figure out what had just happened. Minho pushed through the crowd and grabbed Jiwon's arm. "What did you do?" he hissed. "I don't know," Jiwon hissed back. "I just said her armor looked nice." Commander Yuna appeared, her face carefully neutral. Behind her, several high-ranking Valtharians were approaching with ceremonial weapons drawn. For a moment, Jiwon thought he was about to be executed, but they simply formed an honor guard around him and the princess. "Lieutenant Park," Commander Yuna said slowly, "did you just propose marriage to Princess Hana?" "No, I don't think so, I just—" "He spoke the ancient words," one of the Valtharian officials said happily. "A direct compliment to the warrior's form, offered with clear intent. It is a traditional proposal among our people." "It is?" Jiwon squeaked. Princess Hana was still holding his hands. She leaned closer and spoke softly, so only he could hear. "Your translation device malfunctioned, but the words it produced were interesting. You may not have intended a proposal, but you made one nonetheless, and I have accepted." "Can I unpropose?" Jiwon asked desperately. Her smile turned sad. "To break a royal engagement is to declare war. Would your people wish that?" Jiwon's stomach dropped to his feet. He looked at Commander Yuna, who had clearly heard the exchange. She gave him the smallest shake of her head. Her meaning was clear. Don't make this worse. The rest of the reception passed in a blur. Jiwon was introduced to dozens of important Valtharians. Everyone congratulated him. Princess Hana stayed by his side the entire time, perfectly composed while Jiwon felt like he was drowning. When they finally returned to their quarters on the human section of the ship, Minho collapsed on a chair and laughed until he cried. "You proposed to an alien princess," he gasped between laughs. "You commented on her butt and proposed marriage." "Her armor," Jiwon corrected weakly. "I said armor." The translator said something else, clearly. Commander Yuna entered without knocking. Her neutral expression was gone, replaced with barely controlled panic. "I've sent an emergency message to Earth Command. Don't go anywhere. Don't talk to anyone. And for the love of everything, don't make any more comments about anyone's physical appearance." She left. Jiwon sat down on his bunk and put his head in his hands. "Look at the bright side," Minho offered. "She's pretty, and she seemed to like you. She's an alien princess, and I'm a translator from Seoul who still lives with his mother when on leave," Jiwon said into his palms. "This is a nightmare." His communication device buzzed. A message from Princess Hana. "I look forward to our courtship, Jiwon Park. You interest me greatly." Jiwon groaned. 30 days until a wedding he never meant to propose. 30 days to either figure out how to fix this or accept that his life had just taken the strangest turn possible. He had a feeling it was going to be a very long month. Jiwon didn't sleep that night. He lay in his bunk staring at the ceiling of his quarters, replaying the disaster over and over in his mind. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Princess Hana's smile and heard her say, "You will be my husband," like it was the most natural thing in the world. At 6 in the morning, Minho dragged him to the mess hall for breakfast. The other human crew members stared at him. Some whispered. A few gave him thumbs up like he had accomplished something impressive instead of accidentally destroying his own life. "Stop looking so miserable," Minho said, pushing a tray of food toward him. "Maybe it won't be so bad." "I'm going to marry an alien because my translator broke," Jiwon said flatly. "How is that not bad?" "She could have been ugly." Jiwon threw a piece of bread at him. Commander Yuna found them an hour later in the briefing room. She looked like she hadn't slept either. Behind her came 3 officers Jiwon recognized from the diplomatic corps, all carrying tablets and looking extremely serious. "Earth Command responded," Yuna said without preamble. She sat down heavily. "They want full details of exactly what happened." Jiwon explained everything again. The crowd, the stumbling, the stupid comment about armor, the malfunction, The proposal that wasn't a proposal but apparently was. One of the officers, a woman named Somin, typed rapidly on her tablet. "I've been researching Valtherian marriage customs all night. It's worse than we thought." "How can it be worse?" Jiwan asked. "Breaking a royal engagement is considered an act of war," Somin explained. "Not just an insult or a diplomatic incident. Actual war. It implies that the royal family isn't worthy of respect, that they're beneath consideration." Minho whistled low. "So Jiwan is stuck." "Earth Command is analyzing the situation," Yuna said. "But preliminary response is that we cannot risk war with the Valtherian Empire. They have technology centuries ahead of ours. Their military could devastate Earth in days." "So I have to marry her," Jiwan said. It felt unreal saying it out loud. "The diplomatic team is looking for loopholes," Somin added quickly. "Maybe there's a way to postpone indefinitely, or some ceremonial version that isn't legally binding. But so far—" She shook her head. Jiwan put his face in his hands. This couldn't be happening. A chime sounded at the door. Everyone looked up as a Valtherian woman entered. She was shorter than Princess Hana, wearing simpler armor in silver and blue. She bowed slightly to the humans. "I am Suri, handmaiden to Princess Hana," she said in perfect English. "The princess requests Lieutenant Jiwan Park's presence for morning tea." "Now?" Jiwan squeaked. "If it pleases you, yes." Commander Yuna nodded at him. "Go, be polite. Don't make any more proposals." Jiwan followed Suri through the ship's corridors. The Valtherian sections were different from the human areas. Everything curved and flowed like water frozen in place. Lights seemed to come from the walls themselves. Other Valtherians they passed bowed to Suri and stared at Jiwan with open curiosity. Princess Hana's quarters were huge. One wall was entirely transparent, showing the stars outside. The furniture looked grown rather than built, all smooth, organic curves. The princess herself stood by the window wearing simpler armor than last night, deep blue with minimal decoration. She turned and smiled when Jiwan entered. "Thank you for coming." "Did I have a choice?" Jiwan asked, then immediately regretted it. "Sorry, that was rude." "It was honest," Hana said. She gestured to a low table where tea was already prepared. "Please sit. We should talk." Jiwan sat awkwardly. The chair adjusted to his body in a way that was both comfortable and slightly disturbing. Hana poured tea into cups that looked like they were made of crystal. "You are unhappy about our engagement," she said. It wasn't a question. "I didn't mean to propose," Jiwan said carefully. "The translator malfunctioned." "I know." Hana sipped her tea. "Suri has reviewed the recordings. Your device produced words you did not intend." Hope flared in Jiwan's chest. "So we can cancel it? Explain it was a mistake?" "No." Hana's voice was gentle but firm. "I accepted your proposal in front of the court. To reject it now, even knowing it was accidental, would still be an insult to my house. My father, the Emperor, would be obligated to respond with force." "That's insane," Jiwan said, then immediately added, "No offense." "None taken. It does seem excessive by human standards." Hana studied him over her cup. "Tell me, Jiwan Park, what do you know of Valtherian culture?" "Not much," Jiwan admitted. "We've only known about you for 6 months. We value strength, honor, directness in speech and action." Hana set down her cup. "I have had many suitors. All of them spoke in circles, using flowery language and political manipulation. They wanted my title, my connection to the throne. None of them cared about me." "That sounds lonely," Jiwan said before he could stop himself. Hana's expression softened. "It is. So when a human stumbled into me, flustered and awkward, and made what your translator turned into a very direct compliment, it was refreshing. Perhaps it was accidental, but it was also honest. I still don't want to cause a war, Jiwon said quietly. Neither do I. Hana leaned forward slightly. So here is what I propose. We proceed with the courtship period, 30 days as tradition demands. You and I will spend time together, learn about each other. Perhaps we will find that this arrangement has merit, perhaps not. But we will have tried. And if after 30 days we don't want to marry? Hana's smile turned sad. Then we will face that problem when it comes. But for now we give this a chance. For the sake of peace between our peoples. Jiwon thought about Earth, about the billions of people who would suffer if the Valtharians decided humans weren't worth their time, about his mother and sister back in Seoul, about all the people depending on this diplomatic mission to succeed. Okay, he said finally. 30 days. We try. Hana's smile became genuine. Thank you. And Jiwon? I may have accepted this arrangement for political reasons, but I admit I am curious about you. Your people intrigue me. We're probably boring compared to a galactic empire, Jiwon muttered. On the contrary, you reached space through determination and ingenuity despite limited resources. You fight among yourselves yet came together for this mission. You use humor to deflect discomfort. She tilted her head. You are not boring at all. Suri appeared from an adjoining room. Princess, your father wishes to speak with you. The Emperor? Jiwon felt his heart rate spike. He is pleased about the engagement, Hana said, standing. He has been seeking stronger ties with humanity. This union serves his political goals well. Great, Jiwon said weakly. I'm a political tool. We are all political tools, Hana said. The question is whether we can be something more as well. Jiwon returned to his quarters to find Minho surrounded by papers and tablet screens. I've been researching, his friend announced. There might be historical precedents for dissolving royal engagements without war. Don't bother, Jiwon said. He explained his conversation with Hana. Minho sat back. So you're really doing this? For 30 days at least. Maybe we'll find a way out. Maybe... Jiwon shrugged helplessly. Maybe I'll wake up and this will all be a dream. A message alert chimed. Commander Yuna. Earth Command orders received. Proceed with engagement. You are now humanity's most important diplomatic asset. Don't screw this up. No pressure, Minho said, reading over his shoulder. Jiwon laughed, slightly hysterical. I commented on an alien princess's armor, and now I'm responsible for Earth's future. This is definitely the weirdest week of my life. Look at it this way, Minho offered. At least she seems nice. She's an alien princess and decorated military commander. I'm a translator who still can't cook rice properly without burning it. Maybe she likes her Rice Krispie. Despite everything, Jiwon smiled. Whatever happened in the next 30 days, at least he had friends to help him through it, even if those friends made terrible jokes about rice. The first official courtship meeting was scheduled for the next day. Jiwon spent the morning being briefed by the diplomatic team on proper Valtharian etiquette. Don't touch without permission. Don't make sudden movements. Don't joke about death or battle unless the Valtharian jokes first. Basically, don't be yourself, Minho summarized helpfully. Not helpful, Jiwon muttered. Princess Hana had arranged for them to dine together in one of the ship's observation rooms. When Jiwon arrived with Suri as his escort, he found the room transformed. The harsh lighting had been dimmed. A table stood near the transparent wall showing the stars flowing past as the ship traveled through space. Hana waited there, still in armor but with her crown device absent. Thank you for coming, she said formally. Thank you for inviting me, Jiwon replied, trying to remember all the protocol lessons. They sat. Servants brought food on floating trays that made Jiwon stare despite himself. The dishes were beautiful, arranged like artwork. He had no idea what any of it was. This is Kelvan root, Hana explained, pointing to something that looked like blue pasta. This is braised shalmar, and this is a traditional dish served at courtship meals. Jiwon picked up the utensil provided and tried the kelvan root. It tasted like mushrooms mixed with mint. Not bad, but weird. What do humans eat? Hana asked, watching him with interest. Lots of things. Rice, mostly, vegetables, meat. We have thousands of different dishes depending on the region. Jiwon relaxed slightly. Talking about food felt safer than talking about marriage. I'm Korean, so I grew up eating kimchi, bulgogi, bibimbap. I do not know these words. Kimchi is fermented vegetables, spicy and sour. Bulgogi is grilled meat in sauce. Bibimbap is rice mixed with vegetables and meat and egg. Jiwon realized he was getting hungry just describing it. I miss Earth food. You have only been away for 2 weeks, Hana said. 2 weeks of eating ration bars and weird protein paste, Jiwon replied. I would kill for some proper ramyeon right now. Hana's eyes brightened. Ramyeon? Instant noodles. You boil water, add the noodles and seasoning, wait 3 minutes. It's fast food, nothing fancy, but it's perfect when you're tired or stressed, or it's 3 in the morning and you can't sleep. I would like to try this ramyeon, Hana said thoughtfully. Really? You're a princess. Don't you eat like fancy royal food all the time? Always. Everything is elaborate and ceremonial and beautiful. Hana pushed at the artfully arranged food on her plate. Sometimes I want something simple, something real. Jiwon found himself smiling. I think I have some instant noodles in my quarters. They're probably not as good as Korean ones, but they're the military ration version. Want to try? Hana stood immediately. Yes. Show me. Sori looked alarmed. Princess, you cannot simply go to the human quarters. I am courting my intended, Hana said firmly. It is appropriate for me to see how he lives. Come. You will chaperone. 15 minutes later, Jiwon's tiny quarters were hosting an alien princess. Hana looked around with open curiosity at his narrow bunk, his storage locker, his desk covered in tablets and translation dictionaries. This is where you sleep? She asked. It's not much, but it's home for now. Jiwon dug through his supplies until he found 2 packages of instant ramyeon. Okay, so normally you need boiling water, but I have a heating unit here. He set up the small cooking device and prepared the noodles while Hana watched intently. The smell of cheap seasoning and noodles filled the small space. Suri stood by the door looking like she was witnessing something scandalous. It's ready, Jiwon said, dividing the noodles between 2 bowls. Be careful, it's hot. Hana took the bowl and the chopsticks he offered. She watched how he ate, then copied the motion. The noodles were messy and awkward to handle. Some broth dripped onto her armor. Then she tasted it. Her eyes widened. This is good. Right? Jiwon grinned. It's not fancy, but it's satisfying. They ate noodles sitting on his floor because there weren't enough chairs. Hana struggled with chopsticks but refused to give up. Jiwon showed her how to hold them properly. Their fingers touched briefly and both pulled back, suddenly aware of how strange this situation was. A princess and a translator eating instant noodles on a spaceship. Tell me about Earth, Hana said between bites. What is Korea like? Jiwon described Seoul, the city where he grew up. The crowded streets and tall buildings, the markets full of food and clothes and electronics. The mountains visible from certain neighborhoods. The way the city never really slept, always moving, always alive with people and light and sound. It sounds overwhelming, Hana said. It is, sometimes. But it's home. Jiwon finished his noodles. What about your home? What's your planet like? Valthar Prime is beautiful. Crystal spires that reach the clouds, gardens that cover entire regions. We built our civilization to work with nature, not against it. Hana's voice grew warm as she spoke. I have a private garden in the palace. It is the only place I can go where no one watches me. judges me, expects things from me. That sounds lonely, Jiwon said quietly. It is. Hana set down her empty bowl. Being royal means being alone, even when surrounded by people. Everyone wants something. Everyone has an agenda. I don't want anything from you, Jiwon said, except maybe to avoid starting a war. Hana laughed. It was a real laugh, not the polite one she used in public. That is refreshing. A loud alert suddenly blared through the ship. Suri's communication device lit up with urgent messages. Princess, we must go. There's an incident in the eastern wing. Hana stood immediately, her relaxed expression replaced by something sharp and focused. What kind of incident? Possible security breach. The guards require your presence. I must go, Hana said to Jiwon. Thank you for the ramyeon. I enjoyed this. Be careful, Jiwon said, before he could think better of it. Hana paused at the door and looked back at him. Something in her expression was softer than before. I will. After she left, Minho poked his head in from the hallway where he had apparently been lurking. Did you just feed a princess instant noodles on your floor? Shut up, Jiwon said, but he was smiling. She liked you. I could tell. She was being polite. Jiwon, she came to your quarters and sat on your floor and ate cheap noodles. That's not obligation. That's interest. Jiwon collected the empty bowls, thinking about the way Hana had laughed, the way she spoke about her garden, her voice full of longing for a place she could be herself. Maybe Minho was right. Maybe this wasn't just duty for her either. The next morning, Jiwon received a message from Hana. Thank you for yesterday. Would you show me more of your culture tomorrow? He stared at the message for a long time before responding. Yes, I'd like that. Over the next week, they met every day. Jiwon showed her Korean music, which she found fascinating and strange. She showed him Valtharian combat techniques, which looked like dancing until he realized every movement was designed to kill efficiently. You're really a soldier, he said, watching her demonstrate a defensive stance. Commander of the Third Fleet, she confirmed. I have fought in 17 battles. I have lost soldiers under my command. I carry their names with me. She was so much more than just a princess. Every day, Jiwon discovered something new about her. She was brilliant at strategy but terrible at telling jokes. She loved music but couldn't sing. She was deadly in combat but gentle when touching anything fragile. And slowly, without meaning to, Jiwon found himself looking forward to seeing her each day. Then came the assassination attempt. They were walking through a market district on the ship, a place where Valtharian civilians could shop and socialize. Hana wanted to show Jiwon how normal Valtharians lived. Guards followed at a discreet distance. Jiwon was examining a stall selling strange fruits when he heard Hana's sharp intake of breath. He turned to see 3 figures in dark armor pushing through the crowd toward them. They moved wrong, too focused, too purposeful. Hana, behind you! He shouted. The assassins drew weapons. Energy blades flickered to life. The guards were too far away. Hana spun, her own blade appearing in her hand instantly. She blocked the first strike with practiced ease. But there were 3 of them, and only one of her. Jiwon did the only thing he could think of. He grabbed a heavy fruit from the stall and threw it as hard as he could at the nearest assassin's head. It hit with a wet thunk. The assassin stumbled, distracted for just a second, but a second was enough. Hana moved like lightning, her blade cutting through 2 attackers before they could react. The third lunged at her exposed back. Jiwon tackled him, both of them crashing into a market stall. The assassin was stronger, faster, better trained. But Jiwon had grown up in a rough neighborhood in Seoul. He fought dirty, elbow to the throat, knee to the gut, fingers in the eyes. The assassin threw him off, raised his blade. Jiwon scrambled backward, knowing he was about to die. Then Hana was there. Her blade took the assassin's arm off at the elbow. He screamed and fell. Guards swarmed the area. Medics appeared. Someone was asking Ji-won if he was hurt. He couldn't hear them properly. His ears were ringing. Hana knelt in front of him, her face close to his. "Are you injured?" "I'm okay. Are you?" "You saved my life," she said softly. "You saw the danger and acted without hesitation. I just threw fruit and tackled someone. You could have run. You could have hidden. You chose to fight beside me." Hana took his hand in both of hers. "Perhaps this arrangement is not so accidental after all." Ji-won's heart pounded, and not just from the fight. Covered in fruit juice and market debris, staring into Hana's glowing eyes, he realized something terrifying. He was falling for her. For real. News of the assassination attempt reached Earth within hours. By the time Ji-won woke up the next morning, his mother had already sent 17 messages and his sister had sent 43, most of them consisting of variations of "Are you okay?" in all caps. He scheduled a video call with his family despite the time difference. His mother's face appeared on screen, her eyes red from crying. "Mom, I'm fine," Ji-won said quickly. "Barely hurt at all. You were attacked by aliens with swords." His mother, Jisoo, dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. "My baby boy fighting assassins in space." "I mostly just threw fruit and fell down," Ji-won admitted. His sister Yoonji pushed into frame, grinning despite the worry in her eyes. "The news says you saved your alien princess girlfriend. They're calling you a hero." "She's not my girlfriend," Ji-won protested automatically, then paused. "I mean, technically we're engaged, but—" "Show us. Show us what she looks like," Yoonji demanded. Ji-won pulled up a photo from one of the formal dinners. Hana in her full ceremonial armor, regal and beautiful. "Oh," his mother breathed. "She's lovely, even if she is blue." "Mom, what? I'm allowed to notice. My son is marrying royalty." Jisoo leaned closer to the screen. "Is she kind to you? Does she treat you well?" "Yes, Mom. She's—" Ji-won searched for words. "She's actually really interesting, smart, strong. We've been spending time together, and I think we're becoming friends." "Friends," Yoonji repeated with heavy skepticism. "Right. Friends who are getting married." "It's complicated." "Does she know you can't cook?" Yoonji asked innocently. "I can cook." "You set rice on fire once." "That was one time." His mother's expression softened. "Ji-won, honey, are you happy?" "Really?" Ji-won thought about the question. 2 weeks ago, he would have said no without hesitation. But now, after spending time with Hana, learning about her, seeing the person behind the princess facade, "I don't know yet," he said honestly. "But maybe I could be." After the call ended, Ji-won found Minho waiting outside his quarters. "Commander Yuna wants to see us. Says it's important." In the briefing room, they found not just Yuna, but a live connection to Earth Command. General Park appeared on screen, his decorated uniform sharp and intimidating. "Lieutenant Ji-won Park," the general said, "your engagement to Princess Hana has become a matter of global significance." "Sir, I'm aware." "No, I don't think you are." The general pulled up data displays. "Since the engagement was announced, Valtharian cooperation with Earth has increased dramatically. They've offered technology-sharing agreements, medical advances, energy solutions that could solve our climate crisis, all dependent on this alliance proceeding successfully." Ji-won felt weight settle on his shoulders like physical pressure. "So if the wedding doesn't happen, we lose everything," Commander Yuna finished quietly. "No pressure." "Actually, all the pressure," Minho muttered. The general continued. "The Emperor himself has expressed interest in meeting you. He sees this union as symbolic of human Valtharian cooperation. You're not just marrying a princess, Lieutenant. You're representing humanity's future." After the briefing ended, Ji-won sat alone in the observation deck, staring at the stars. The weight of responsibility felt crushing. Billions of people depending on him to make this work. Earth's entire future potentially resting on a relationship that started with a broken translator and a stupid comment. You look troubled. Hana's voice came from behind him. Jiwon turned to see her approaching, alone for once. "Where's Suri?" "I sent her away. I wanted to speak with you privately." Hana sat beside him, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. "You heard from your family?" "My mother cried. My sister made fun of me. Pretty normal, actually." Jiwon smiled slightly. "They wanted to know if you're treating me well." "What did you tell them?" "That you're interesting. That we're becoming friends." "Friends," Hana repeated, the same skeptical tone Yoonji had used. "Is that what we are?" "I don't know what we are," Jiwon admitted. 2 weeks ago, this was a diplomatic disaster. Now everyone's expecting us to save the world through marriage. It's a lot." Hana was quiet for a moment. "I spoke with my father today. He's very pleased with this arrangement. Says you have courage and quick thinking. He believes you will make a suitable consort." Consort. That's the male version of princess, right? "Essentially, you would have rank and title, authority over certain matters, but also restrictions, responsibilities." Hana turned to look at him directly. "Are you prepared for that? To give up your old life?" Jiwon thought about Earth, his apartment in Seoul, his job, his plans for a quiet career in translation and diplomacy. All of it felt very far away now. "Honestly, I don't know. This wasn't supposed to be my life." "It was not supposed to be mine either," Hana said softly. "I was supposed to marry a Valtharian noble, unite powerful houses, produce heirs who would strengthen the empire. Instead, I am engaged to a human who throws fruit at assassins." Despite everything, Jiwon laughed. "When you put it that way, it sounds absurd." "It is absurd," Hana smiled, "but perhaps absurd is better than expected. Every suitor I have had followed a script, said the right words, made the right moves. It was all predictable, boring. You are many things, Jiwon Park, but you are not boring." "Is that a compliment?" "Yes." Hana reached out slowly, giving him time to pull away, and took his hand. Her skin was warm, the blue tint even more visible this close. "I know this is difficult. I know the pressure you are under. But I want you to know that I am not asking you to sacrifice yourself for politics alone. I want this to work because we want it to work, not because we have to." "What if we can't?" Jiwon asked quietly. "What if we try and it doesn't work? Then we will have tried honestly. That is all anyone can ask." They sat together in silence, watching stars flow past. Jiwon became aware of how comfortable the silence was. 2 weeks ago, sitting alone with Hana would have been terrifying. Now it felt natural. "Can I ask you something?" Jiwon said after a while. "Anything. Why did you accept my proposal? Really? You could have laughed it off as a translation error, made a joke, moved on." Hana was quiet for so long Jiwon thought she wouldn't answer. Then she said, "Because when you stumbled into me, you looked genuinely horrified. Not because I was royalty, but because you had embarrassed yourself. And then you tried to make a joke to ease the tension. It was clumsy and awkward and completely honest. In that moment, you saw me as a person, not a title. Do you know how rare that is?" "I'm sorry I commented on your armor," Jiwon said. "That was stupid." "It was." Hana squeezed his hand gently. But it was also the beginning of something unexpected. Perhaps something good. A chime sounded. Suri's voice came over Hana's communication device. "Princess, your father wishes to speak with you." Hana sighed and stood. "Duty calls. But Jiwon, think about what I said. This doesn't have to be just an obligation. We can choose to make it more." After she left, Minho found Jiwon still sitting in the observation deck. "Saw Hana leaving," Minho said, settling into the seat she had vacated. "You two looked cozy. We're trying to figure this out. How's that going?" Jiwon thought about Hana's hand in his, the way she had opened up about her expectations and fears, the way she made him feel like this could actually work if they both tried. "Better than I expected," he admitted. "She's not what I thought she would be. She's real, honest. When I'm with her, I forget she's a princess, and I'm just some translator who got in over his head." "You like her," Minho said, grinning. "Maybe. A little. Possibly." Jiwon ran a hand through his hair. "Is that crazy? We've only known each other 2 weeks. People have fallen in love faster. Besides, you're going to marry her anyway. Might as well like the person you're stuck with." "That's romantic," Jiwon said dryly. "Hey, I'm just saying, it could be worse. She could be boring, or mean, or ugly. Instead, she's interesting and kind and pretty. Plus, she can kill assassins, which is a useful skill in a partner." Jiwon laughed despite himself. "Yeah, I guess you're right." His communication device buzzed. A message from Hana. "The Emperor wishes to meet you tomorrow. Are you ready?" Jiwon stared at the message. Meet the Emperor. Meet his future father-in-law. Meet one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. "No," he muttered, typing back. "But I'll be there." Hana's response came quickly. "I will be with you. You are not alone in this." And somehow, that made everything feel a little less terrifying. That night, Jiwon video called his mother again. She answered immediately, clearly having been waiting. "Mom," he said, "I think I'm going to go through with it. The wedding, everything." Jasu's eyes filled with tears. "Are you sure?" "No. But I think I want to try. She's special. And maybe this is crazy, but maybe it's also right." His mother smiled through her tears. "Then I'm happy for you, Jiwon. Your father would have been proud." "You think?" "I know. He always said you were meant for extraordinary things. I don't think he imagined this exactly, but..." She laughed wetly. "My son, marrying a princess, in space, it's like a drama. A really weird drama. The best kind," his mother said. "Now tell me everything about her, and don't leave anything out." Jiwon talked until late into the night, describing Hana to his mother. And the more he talked, the more he realized how much he had to say, how well he was getting to know her, how much he wanted to keep learning. Maybe this could work after all. Meeting the Emperor of the Valtherian Empire should have been the most stressful moment of Jiwon's life. Instead, what came next was worse. 3 days after the assassination attempt, Minho burst into Jiwon's quarters waving a tablet. "We have a problem. A big one." Jiwon looked up from his study materials about Valtherian royal protocols. "Bigger than assassins trying to kill us? Maybe connected to the assassins." Minho pulled up data files. "I've been going through the technical logs from the reception. Your translator malfunction? It wasn't random." Jiwon's stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "Someone tampered with it. Deliberately. They wanted your translator to produce those specific words." Minho's face was grim. "Jiwon, someone planned for you to accidentally propose to Princess Hana." "That's insane. Who would do that?" "I don't know yet. But think about it. Someone wanted this engagement to happen, or they wanted to cause a diplomatic incident. Either way, you were used." Commander Yuna arrived within minutes of being contacted. She reviewed Minho's findings with increasing concern. "This is beyond my authority," she said finally. "We need to inform Princess Hana immediately." Hana arrived with Suri, both looking serious. When Minho explained his discovery, Hana's expression turned cold and dangerous. This was the military commander, not the Princess Jiwon had been getting to know. "Show me everything," she ordered. They spent hours going through the data. The translator had been modified remotely during the reception. Just before Jiwan bumped into Hana, the modification was sophisticated, requiring high-level access to both human and Valtharian systems. "It had to be someone with access to both our technologies," Yuna said. "That's a very short list." "The assassins," Jiwan said slowly. "Were they trying to stop the wedding or ensure it happened?" "Good question." Hana pulled up files on the captured assassins. "They belonged to House Torin, a noble house that has opposed my father's policies for years. They would benefit from my death, but not from my marriage to a human. Unless they plan to kill you both after the wedding," Suri suggested quietly. "Make it look like human treachery. Start a war." The room went silent as everyone absorbed the implications. "We need more information," Hana said. "Jiwan, Minho. Are you willing to help investigate this? It could be dangerous." "Someone used me to propose to you," Jiwan said flatly. "Someone manipulated this entire situation. Yes, I want to know who and why." Over the next week, the four of them worked together secretly. Jiwan and Minho used their access to human systems. Hana and Suri used their royal authority to access Valtharian records. They met in hidden corners of the ship, sharing information and piecing together the conspiracy. "Look at this," Minho said one night, everyone exhausted around a table covered in tablets. 3 months before first contact, someone from House Torin met with a human separatist group, the group that opposes alien contact. "Earth first," Yuna confirmed grimly. "They've been causing trouble since the Valtharians arrived. Protests, threats, minor sabotage." "What if they're working together?" Jiwan suggested. "Valtharian nobles who don't want humans integrated into their empire and humans who don't want alien contact. They have a common goal." "Prevent the alliance," Hana said slowly. "Or more specifically, prevent any deep connection between our peoples. A royal marriage would symbolize that connection." "So they either wanted to prevent the proposal or ensure it happened so they could destroy it later," Suri added. "We need proof," Yuna said. "Hard evidence connecting these groups." "I might know where to look," Hana said. "There's a gathering of noble houses in 3 days. Political discussions, social events, the kind of place where conspiracies happen in dark corners." "Can we get access?" Jiwan asked. Hana smiled dangerously. "You're my fiancé. Of course you'll be attending." The gathering was held in the largest ballroom on the ship, even more elaborate than the reception where Jiwan had accidentally proposed. Nobles from across the Valtharian Empire attended, all in spectacular armor and ceremonial dress. Jiwan wore formal human dress combined with Valtharian elements, a symbol of the union between their peoples. He felt ridiculous and exposed, but Hana squeezed his hand reassuringly as they entered. "Stay close," she murmured. "Listen to conversations. Watch for anything suspicious." They separated after the formal greetings. Hana pulled into diplomatic discussions, while Jiwan circulated with Minho. Suri moved through the crowd like a ghost, seen but not noticed. Jiwan overheard fragments of conversation. Some nobles were genuinely interested in the human alliance. Others were clearly opposed, making comments about primitive species and diluting the bloodline. Then he spotted something. A Valtharian noble in dark armor stepping into a side corridor with someone in a hooded cloak. The body language was secretive, furtive. "Minho," Jiwan whispered. "Follow that." They trailed the pair through the ship's passages, staying back far enough not to be noticed. The noble and the cloaked figure entered a small meeting room. Jiwan and Minho pressed against the wall near the door, listening. "The wedding must not happen," a human voice said from inside. Jiwan recognized the accent, American, aggressive. "If they actually marry, Earth will fully commit to this alliance." My people want humanity pure, separate. And my house wants the same for Valtherians, the noble replied. This human male has poisoned the princess's mind. She actually believes their union could work. Then we accelerate the plan. During the ceremony we strike, kill them both, frame each side for the other's death. War is certain. Both our goals are achieved. Jiwan's blood ran cold. He looked at Minho, saw his own horror reflected there. They needed to get away, report this, but Jiwan's foot scraped against the floor. The sound was soft, but in the quiet corridor, it might as well have been a shout. The door slammed open. The Valtherian noble stood there, eyes glowing with rage. Behind him, the cloaked figure pulled back their hood, a human woman with cold eyes and a weapon in her hand. "Run!" Minho shouted. They ran. Behind them came the sound of pursuit, energy weapons discharged, scorching the walls. Jiwan's heart hammered as they sprinted through unfamiliar corridors. "This way!" Minho yanked Jiwan into a side passage. They emerged into a crowded market area, losing themselves in the crowd. "We have to get to Hana," Jiwan panted. "Warner!" His communication device was back in his quarters. Stupid. Minho's had been damaged by a near miss from an energy weapon. "The ballroom," Minho said. "We go back, find Hana, tell everyone what we heard." They made it back to the ballroom and pushed through the crowd toward where Hana stood speaking with her father, the Emperor. Jiwan had never actually met the Emperor before, had been dreading the formal introduction. Now he ran straight up to them, all protocol forgotten. "Princess Hana," he gasped out, "Your Majesty, we have to talk, now." "It's urgent." Hana saw his face and immediately knew something was wrong. "Father, excuse us." The Emperor, a tall figure in silver and gold armor with a crown that seemed made of solidified light, studied Jiwan with glowing eyes. "This human is your intended?" "Yes, father." "He looks terrified. What has happened?" There was no time for subtle diplomacy. Jiwan blurted out everything. The conspiracy, the overheard conversation, the plan to assassinate them during the wedding. The Emperor's expression grew darker with every word. Around them, other nobles were noticing the commotion, conversations stopping. "Bring me Lord Torak of House Torin," the Emperor commanded. Guards moved immediately. Lord Torak, the noble Jiwan had seen in the corridor, tried to run. He didn't make it far. Guards dragged him back to the ballroom floor before the Emperor. "You plot against my daughter?" The Emperor's voice rang through the ballroom. "Against the alliance I have worked to build? The human contaminates our bloodline," Torak shouted. "This alliance is weakness. We should conquer Earth, not befriend it. You have no say in imperial policy." The Emperor's anger was terrible to see. "Guards, take him. Find his co-conspirators. I want every traitor found and brought to justice." In the chaos that followed, Hana pulled Jiwan aside. They found a quiet corner, while guards arrested nobles and security swept the ship for the human conspirators. "You could have been killed," Hana said, her hands on his shoulders, searching him for injuries. "Following them, listening to their plans. That was foolish and brave, and I am so angry and so grateful." "We had to know," Jiwan said. "We had to stop them." "We will. My father will ensure it." Hana pulled him into a sudden embrace. Jiwan stiffened in surprise, then slowly relaxed, his arms coming up to hold her. "I was so afraid," Hana whispered against his shoulder. "When you ran up looking terrified, I thought something had happened to you." "I'm okay. We're okay. For now." Hana pulled back slightly to look at him. "But the wedding is in 1 week. We know they plan to strike then. Even with conspirators arrested, there may be others." "So we cancel?" "We cannot. To postpone now would show fear, weakness. It would give the conspirators what they want, disruption of the alliance." Hana's jaw set stubbornly. "No, we proceed, but carefully." With every security measure possible. That's insane, Jiwon said. It is. Hana smiled slightly. But you have shown me that humans excel at insane plans. So we will make our own plan. We will have our wedding. And we will dare them to try to stop us. Looking into her determined eyes, seeing the fierce warrior princess beneath the diplomatic facade, Jiwon realized something. He wasn't just falling for her anymore. He had already fallen, completely. Okay, he said. Let's get married and defeat conspiracies. How hard can it be? Hana laughed, still holding him. With you by my side? Perhaps not so hard after all. The week before the wedding passed in a blur of security briefings, ceremony rehearsals, and barely controlled panic. Arrests continued as the Emperor's guards rooted out conspirators. 3 more Valtharian nobles were taken into custody. On Earth, security forces captured 7 members of the Earth First movement, including the woman Jiwon had seen in the corridor. But everyone knew there had to be more. Conspiracies this large always had backup plans. Jiwon's family arrived 4 days before the ceremony. Seeing his mother and sister step off the transport shuttle made everything suddenly real. His mother cried the moment she saw him. Yoonji punched his arm and then also cried. Look at you, Jisoo said, holding his face in her hands. My son, getting married in space. To an alien princess, Yoonji added, looking around the docking bay with wide eyes. This is insane. You know that, right? I'm aware, Jiwon said dryly. Meeting Hana was awkward at first. His mother kept bowing despite Hana asking her not to. Yoonji stared openly at Hana's blue skin and glowing eyes until Jiwon elbowed her. But Hana handled it perfectly. She asked about Earth, about Korea, about their family. She thanked them for raising someone as brave and kind as Jiwon. By the end of dinner, his mother was showing Hana embarrassing photos of Jiwon as a child, and Yoonji was asking about Valtharian fashion. I like your family, Hana said later when they were alone. Your mother is warm. Your sister is sharp. They love you very much. They're good people. Jiwon smiled. Yoonji already wants to visit your planet. I think she's planning to write a blog about dating aliens. She should meet my cousin Mira. They would either become best friends or destroy the palace trying to outprank each other. The night before the wedding, Jiwon couldn't sleep. He found himself in the observation deck again, staring at the stars. Tomorrow he would marry an alien princess. Tomorrow conspirators might try to kill them both. Tomorrow his entire life would change forever. Having second thoughts? Minho's voice came from behind him. More like 500 thoughts. Jiwon didn't turn around. What am I doing, Minho? A month ago I was a translator. Now I'm about to become alien royalty while people literally try to murder me. You're also about to marry someone you love, Minho said, sitting beside him. Don't think I haven't noticed. Is it that obvious? Jiwon, you look at her like she hung the stars, and she looks at you the same way. Whatever started as a diplomatic accident became something real. What if something goes wrong tomorrow? Jiwon asked quietly. What if the conspirators succeed? What if she gets hurt because of me? Then we'll deal with it. But you can't live in fear of what might happen. You have to focus on what you want to happen. Minho clapped him on the shoulder. You want to marry her? Yes. Then that's what matters. The rest is just details. Easy for Minho to say. He wasn't the one standing at the center of a potential interstellar incident. The wedding day dawned clear and bright, artificial lighting in the ship simulating a perfect morning. Jiwon, dressed in his ceremonial outfit, a fusion of Korean traditional hanbok and Valtharian formal armor. The designers had worked for weeks to blend both cultures. He looked ridiculous and magnificent at the same time. You clean up nice, Yoonji said, helping adjust his collar. Try not to trip walking down the aisle. Thanks for the confidence. That's what sisters are for. She hugged him suddenly, fiercely. "I'm proud of you, you know. You're doing something impossible and you're making it work." The ceremony was being held in the largest chamber on the ship, one usually reserved for imperial audiences. Thousands would attend in person, billions would watch across Earth and dozens of Valtharian worlds. No pressure. Commander Yuna briefed him one last time on security. "We have guards everywhere, weapon scanners at every entrance, the Emperor's personal shield generators protecting the altar. But stay alert. If anything feels wrong, get down and let the guards handle it." "Comforting," Jiwan muttered. The ceremony began with traditional Valtharian rituals. Hana entered first, escorted by her father. She wore armor unlike anything Jiwan had seen before, white and gold, with a cape that seemed woven from light itself. Her crown floated above her head, larger and more elaborate than usual. She looked like something from a legend. Their eyes met across the chamber. She smiled, small and private, just for him. Jiwan felt his nerves settle slightly. Whatever happened, they would face it together. The Emperor spoke first, blessing the union in a language that made Jiwan's translation device work overtime. Then Commander Yuna spoke on behalf of Earth, talking about cooperation and shared futures. They exchanged vows. Hana spoke hers in accented English, which she had learned just for this moment. Jiwan spoke his in Valtharian, stumbling over the complicated pronunciation. When he messed up a word, Hana smiled encouragingly, and he felt his heart swell. "With this bond, we unite not just ourselves but our peoples," the officiant declared. "Let none." The explosion cut off the rest. The far wall erupted in fire and smoke. Screaming filled the chamber. Guards rushed forward, surrounding Jiwan and Hana with their bodies. The Emperor's shield generators flared to life, creating a barrier of energy. Through the smoke came figures in dark armor, not Valtharian, not human, but something else. Mercenaries, Jiwan realized. The conspirators had hired outside help. "Get them to safety," the Emperor commanded his guards. But more explosions rocked the chamber. Emergency systems kicked in, sealing doors, trapping everyone inside. This wasn't just an assassination attempt. This was a massacre. Hana drew a blade from somewhere in her armor. "Stay behind me." "Like hell," Jiwan said. He grabbed a piece of debris, something metal and heavy. Not much of a weapon, but better than nothing. The mercenaries pushed through the guards. Energy weapons discharged. People fell, hurt or dead. Jiwan saw his mother and Yunji huddled with other civilians behind a pillar. Terror for them gave him clarity. "The ventilation system," he shouted to Hana over the chaos. "Can we use it to evacuate civilians?" "The grates are too small. For Valtharians, maybe. Humans are smaller. We can fit." Jiwan grabbed Minho as he ran past. "Get everyone human to the vents. Kick out the grates. Start evacuating." "What about you?" "I'll be right behind you. Go!" Minho didn't argue. He started herding humans toward the walls where ventilation grates were barely visible. A mercenary broke through the guard line, heading straight for Hana. She met him with her blade, moving so fast Jiwan could barely track it. But there were too many. Another came from the side. Jiwan swung his debris chunk with all his strength. It connected with the mercenary's helmet with a satisfying crunch. The mercenary stumbled and Hana's blade found a weak point in the armor. "You should have evacuated," Hana said, breathing hard. "We're in this together, remember?" Back to back, they fought. Hana with deadly precision, Jiwan with desperate improvisation. He threw more debris, tripped mercenaries, used every dirty trick he had ever learned in street fights as a kid. Commander Yuna appeared with human security forces. "The humans are evacuating through the vents. We need to hold this position until they're clear." "How long?" Hana demanded. 5 minutes. An eternity in a fight. The Emperor fought at the center of the chamber, his power terrifying. Energy blasts from his hands, movements impossibly fast. But even he couldn't be everywhere at once. A mercenary with a massive weapon aimed at the group of evacuating civilians. Jiwan saw it happening in slow motion. saw his mother's face among the crowd, saw the weapon charging up. He ran, not away from danger but toward it. Threw himself at the mercenary just as the weapon fired. The blast went wide, scorching the ceiling instead of people. The mercenary backhanded Ji-won, sending him flying. He hit a pillar hard enough to see stars. Through blurred vision, he saw Hana scream his name and cut through 3 mercenaries to reach him. "Ji-won!" She dropped to her knees beside him. "Are you hurt?" "Probably," he wheezed. Everything hurt. "But they're safe. The civilians." "You foolish, brave human." She helped him sit up, checking for serious injuries while guards formed a protective circle around them. The tide of battle was turning. More guards poured in from secured sections. The mercenaries, realizing they had failed, tried to retreat. Most didn't make it. Within minutes, it was over. The chamber was a disaster of smoke and debris and bodies. But the civilians were safe. The conspirators had failed. Medics rushed in. Ji-won's mother found him and clutched him tight, sobbing. Yoonji was crying too, holding on to both of them. "Okay," Ji-won said weakly. "Can we finish the wedding now?" Everyone stared at him. Then Hana started laughing. Through tears and smoke and chaos, she laughed. "Yes," she said. "Let us finish this." The officiant was found, shaken but unhurt. The emperor himself stood as witness. In the ruined chamber, surrounded by guards and medics and survivors, Ji-won and Hana completed their vows. "I declare you bonded," the officiant said shakily. "Husband and wife, consort and princess, united before the universe." Hana kissed him. It was their first real kiss, and it tasted like smoke and blood and victory. When they pulled apart, the survivors erupted in cheers. "Well," Ji-won said, holding on to Hana because his legs were shaky, "that was dramatic." "Welcome to the family," the emperor said dryly, approaching them. "You have proven yourself worthy, human Ji-won. Few would charge armed mercenaries to protect others. You have courage." "I have stupidity," Ji-won corrected. "But thank you, your majesty. Call me father now. We are family." Ji-won blinked. The emperor of the Valtharian Empire was his father-in-law. His life had definitely taken a weird turn. Later, in the medical bay, where both of them were being treated for minor injuries, Hana took his hand. "When I saw you run at that mercenary, my heart stopped," she said quietly. "I thought I would lose you before we truly began. I couldn't let them hurt people. Couldn't let them hurt my family. Your people." "Our people now," Hana corrected. She lifted his hand to her lips and kissed it gently. "We are married, Ji-won Park. For better or worse." "This was definitely worse," Ji-won said. "So hopefully it only gets better from here. We survived a conspiracy and an attack on our wedding. I think we can survive anything now." Ji-won looked at his wife, his alien princess wife, and felt something settle in his chest. Peace, maybe, or purpose. "Yeah," he said, "I think we can." The aftermath of the attack took weeks to settle. Security forces across both human and Valtharian space arrested dozens more conspirators. It turned out the plot had reached farther than anyone imagined, with cells in multiple systems working together to prevent the human-Valtharian alliance. But the wedding attack had backfired on the conspirators spectacularly. Instead of driving the peoples apart, it brought them together. Humans and Valtharians had fought side by side, bled together, survived together. The shared trauma created bonds stronger than any treaty. Ji-won and Hana became symbols of that unity, whether they wanted to be or not. "Look at this," Yoonji said, showing Ji-won her tablet a week after the wedding. "You two are trending on every social media platform on Earth. People are making artwork of you, writing songs. There's a movement to name a holiday after your wedding day." "Please tell me you're joking," Ji-won groaned. "Nope. You're officially the most famous Korean person alive. Sorry, I don't make the rules." They were on Hana's personal ship. traveling to Valthar Prime for an official reception. The Emperor had insisted they spend time on the homeworld, showing unity and building public support for the alliance. It also doubled as their honeymoon, though Jiwon wasn't sure what kind of honeymoon involved constant public appearances. "Your sister is right," Hana said, entering their shared quarters. She had changed from formal armor into something simpler, more comfortable. Jiwon still wasn't used to seeing her relaxed like this. "My people are equally fascinated. There are petitions to include human cultural studies in schools, restaurants trying to recreate your Earth foods." "How's that going?" "Poorly. Apparently kimchi is difficult to make properly." Hana sat beside him on the wide couch. "But they are trying. That is what matters." Jiwon leaned against her, comfortable in a way he never expected to be. Marriage had been terrifying in concept, but in practice, it was mostly just spending time with someone he really liked. Someone who made him laugh. Someone who understood the pressure they were both under. "We should visit Korea," Jiwon said. "Show you where I grew up. Let you try real Korean food, not whatever the Valtherian chefs are attempting." "I would like that." Hana wrapped an arm around him. "I want to know everything about your home, your childhood. What made you into the person you are?" "Fair warning, it's not exciting. Normal apartment, normal school, normal life until aliens showed up and I accidentally proposed to a princess. Nothing about you is normal, Jiwon Park." Landing on Valthar Prime was breathtaking. The planet was everything Hana had described and more. Crystal spires that seemed to grow from the ground itself, reaching toward the clouds. Gardens that stretched for miles, carefully cultivated but wild-looking, nature and civilization in perfect balance. Cities that flowed like water, organic shapes that felt alive. The Emperor's palace sat at the heart of the capital, a massive structure that looked carved from a single enormous crystal. Jiwon felt very small walking through the halls, human security and Valtherian guards flanking them. "This is your home?" he asked Hana quietly. "I grew up here, but I have not felt at home for many years." She squeezed his hand. "Perhaps with you here, it will feel different." The official reception was held in the grand throne room. Thousands of Valtherian nobles and dignitaries attended, all wanting to see the human who had married their princess. Jiwon stood beside Hana, wearing his ceremonial armor, trying not to look as terrified as he felt. The Emperor made a speech about unity and strength in diversity, about how the human-Valtherian alliance represented a new age for both peoples, about how Jiwon and Hana's marriage was proof that different species could find common ground. "My daughter chose courageously," the Emperor concluded. "She chose not just a husband, but a bridge between worlds. Let us all follow her example." The crowd cheered. Jiwon managed not to pass out from stress, which he counted as a win. Afterward, in Hana's private garden that she had mentioned before, Jiwon finally relaxed. The garden was beautiful, full of plants that glowed softly in the fading light. Water features created gentle sounds. It felt peaceful, removed from the politics and pressure. "Thank you for bringing me here," Jiwon said, sitting on a bench beside Hana. "It's perfect. This is where I come when I need to remember who I am beneath the titles." Hana leaned her head on his shoulder. "I wanted to share it with you." "I'm glad you did." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the bioluminescent plants pulse gently. Jiwon thought about how strange his life had become. A month ago, he was a nervous translator at a reception. Now he was married to an alien princess, sitting in a garden on another planet, somehow responsible for representing all of humanity. "What are you thinking about?" Hana asked. "How surreal this all is. How I got here through a broken translator and a stupid comment about armor." "Best mistake you ever made?" Jiwon considered. "Yeah, actually, it might be." Hana lifted her head to look at him. In the soft glow of the garden, her eyes seemed to shine even brighter. I am glad your translator malfunctioned. I am glad you stumbled into me. I am glad for all the accidents that brought us together. Even the assassination attempts? Those I could have done without. She smiled. But they showed me who you truly are. Someone who runs toward danger to protect others. Someone brave and foolish and kind. You're pretty brave and foolish yourself. We are well matched then. Ji-won kissed her, slow and gentle. No audience or pressure or politics. Just two people who had found each other through the strangest circumstances imaginable. The next weeks were a whirlwind. They visited Earth, where Hana met more of Ji-won's extended family and tried Korean food in a real restaurant. She declared bulgogi her new favorite food and insisted on learning to make it properly. They visited historical sites in Seoul, Hana fascinated by human history and culture. Your people accomplished so much with so little, she said, standing in a museum dedicated to Korean history. No advanced technology, no spaceflight for most of your existence, yet you created art and music and literature that rivals anything in the galaxy. Is that the HFY talking? Ji-won teased. HFY? Humanity, fuck yeah. It's a thing some people say, about how humans are surprisingly capable despite being relatively primitive. You are not primitive, Hana said firmly. You are creative and adaptable and resilient. Those are strengths technology cannot replace. Back on Valthar Prime, they took on their official duties. Ji-won worked with human diplomats establishing embassy protocols. Hana coordinated with military leaders on joint defense initiatives. They also became cultural ambassadors, giving speeches about unity and cooperation. It was exhausting and important and sometimes overwhelming. But they did it together. Minho, who had been promoted for his role in uncovering the conspiracy, visited often. He and Suri had indeed developed a relationship, much to everyone's amusement. You started a trend, Minho told Ji-won over drinks one evening. Human Valtharian relationships are becoming more common. People are less afraid of crossing that barrier now that they've seen it work. We didn't do it to start a trend, Ji-won said. No, but you did it authentically. People saw that. It mattered. 6 months after the wedding, Earth formally joined the Valtharian Alliance. Technology sharing agreements were signed. Medical advances that would save millions of lives were transferred to Earth. Energy solutions that would help reverse climate damage. Educational exchanges that would benefit both species. And at the center of it all, symbolically at least, were Ji-won and Hana. Do you ever regret it? Ji-won asked one night, lying in bed beside his wife. Everything changed for you. You could have had a simpler life. Simpler, perhaps, but not better. Hana turned to face him. Before you, I was lonely. I had purpose, but not joy. Duty, but not choice. You gave me both. I gave you a broken translator and a stupid comment. You gave me honesty. You saw me as a person first, princess second. Do you know how rare that is? She touched his face gently. I do not regret anything. Do you? Ji-won thought about his old life, his quiet apartment, his predictable career path. It all seemed very far away now, like it had happened to someone else. No, he said. This is better, harder, but better. We are good together, Hana said. You make me laugh. You challenge me to see things differently. You remind me that strength comes in many forms. You make me braver than I am. You show me what honor really means. You're patient with me when I mess up protocol or accidentally insult someone's ancestors. That was one time. It was 3 times. Still learning. Ji-won pulled her closer. But I'm glad I get to learn with you. News came a year after first contact that other alien civilizations were requesting formal meetings with Earth. The Valtharian Alliance had made humanity interesting to the wider galaxy. Everyone wanted to meet the species that had won a princess's heart through accidental humor and then survived a conspiracy through courage and cooperation. You realize this is going to mean more diplomatic meetings? Hana said, reading the reports. As long as you're there, too, Jiwon replied. Always. They stood together on a balcony overlooking the capital city, watching the sunset paint the crystal spires in brilliant colors. Below them, humans and Valtharians walked side by side, the sight becoming more common every day. Do you remember what you said when we first talked? Hana asked. In your quarters, eating ramyeon? I said a lot of stupid things. You said this wasn't supposed to be your life, that you were just a translator. I remember. What would you say now? Jiwon thought about it. About everything that had happened, the terror and joy and growth and love, about becoming something he never imagined he could be. I'd say maybe this was always supposed to be my life. I just needed a broken translator and a patient princess to help me find it. Hana laughed, the sound bright and genuine. Your translator is still broken. You called my father your deliciousness last week instead of your excellency. He laughed. He was being polite. I'm still learning Valtharian. Give me a break. Never. Hana turned to face him fully. But I will give you this. You are the best accident that ever happened to me. You're the best accident that happened to me, too. They stood together as the sun set on Valthar Prime, human and Valtharian, husband and wife. Two people who had found each other through the most ridiculous circumstances imaginable and made it work through courage, humor, and genuine affection. Behind them in the palace, staff were preparing for another diplomatic reception. Tomorrow would bring more duties, more responsibilities, more challenges to face. But tonight, they had each other and a sunset, and the knowledge that sometimes the universe had a strange sense of humor. But it worked out anyway. Hey, Hana, Jiwon said, smiling. What? Nice armor plating. She shoved him playfully, laughing. You are never going to let me forget that, are you? Never. It's how I won your heart. Through broken translators and comments about your rear armor. You won my heart by being yourself. The translator just helped you do it faster. Lucky translator. Lucky us, Hana corrected, taking his hand. And looking at her, at the life they had built together despite everything, Jiwon couldn't argue with that. Lucky them indeed. Somewhere in the palace, Yoonji was probably writing another blog post about her brother's ridiculous life. Minho and Suri were probably having their own adventures. The Emperor was probably planning more diplomatic initiatives. Earth and Valthar were building a future together. And at the center of it all, somehow, was a translator from Seoul who had accidentally proposed to a princess and discovered that sometimes the best things in life came from mistakes. What are you smiling about? Hana asked. Everything, Jiwon said honestly. Just everything. Good answer. She pulled him toward the door. Come, we have a dinner to attend. Try not to accidentally insult anyone tonight. No promises. I know. That is why I love you. You love me? Obviously. Have you not noticed? I mean, I hoped, but Jiwon Park, I love you. Even when you mess up protocol, even when you make terrible jokes, even when you throw fruit at assassins, especially then. I love you too, Jiwon said, his heart full. Even when you're too patient with me, even when you're terrifyingly competent, even when you beat me at everything physical. I do not beat you at everything. Name one thing. You are better at making me laugh. That's because you have a weird sense of humor. I married you, did I not? My sense of humor is excellent. They walked into the palace together, bickering and laughing, ready to face whatever came next. Because they had each other, and that made anything possible. Even marriage to an alien princess that started with a broken translator and a comment about armor. Especially that.